There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers, but a lot of the time last year they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy, and now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They didn't panic. They played like a championship team. They came back and destroyed them, probably cost Brian Kelly his job at least a week earlier than it might have happened before. But the fact is they are playing great. But like I say, I like the talent level of all those teams. And I think you want to have a little bang for your buck and play around with a team that could slide in. Ole Miss might be that team.
The Bowden Blitz. Only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in a football state. You're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, you didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Welcome to the season, people, and welcome into hour number 2. What season might Donnie Rightside be talking about right here with Joe Ranieri? The season is college basketball. It is 8:02, Joe. 8 a.m. on YouTube. The Field of 68 opening day marathon begins with Queens University taking on Winthrop, about to start in Rock Hill, South Carolina, Joe. We made it to another sporting season. It starts right now.
I absolutely love it, Donnie. I am looking so forward to it, including a couple of big games tonight with your reigning champion Florida Gators, in fact, taking on Arizona, which will be one of the marquee matchups of the day.
By the way, when I look at college basketball, it's hard because I'm so involved in college football and pro football right now, and you sort of got an eye on the NBA, and hockey's playing right now. Handicapping to me in college basketball, I love using Ken Pom. Ken Pom's great for statistics here, but you have to let those statistics go. And also, you have to know which stats they actually look like. Hey, this team's 7-0. Yeah, they played Alcorn State 7 games in a row. How good can their offense actually be once they face a really good opponent? By the way, quickly, how do you approach the early season in college basketball? Because for me, it's a complete no play until just about January for me, Joe.
Well, I mean, styles make fights in college basketball, right? So understanding the coaches, understanding the styles that they like to play, the tempo, and there are a lot of mismatches early on in the season, Donnie, where, you should see some of the better teams run away with some of these games here. So my suggestion is don't be afraid to lay big numbers with teams from big conferences playing teams from the, the mid-tier. There are a lot of blowouts early on. Yep.
There are a lot. Get to know some of these players and some of these teams. But we are November the 3rd. So we got November, December, January, February, March Madness, and right into the early parts of April to crown a national champion from the Final Four. But let's get to some of the hottest topics across the sports landscape. The early lineup starts with the Buffalo Bills yesterday saying, yeah, Chiefs, we own you in the regular season. 28-21 victory, 6-2 now for the Buffalo Bills, 5-4 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes was under siege for most of that day. How about a passer rating for Patrick Mahomes, Joe? 57.2. Not good enough.
No, it's not good enough. I mean, but the defense of Buffalo is really the story of this game and how they just absolutely harassed Patrick Mahomes and got into his face. It was very reminiscent of what the Eagles did to him, Donnie, in the Super Bowl there. He never was able to get comfortable. He was always having to improvise. Guys couldn't get open. Big win for Buffalo. But we've been down this road before, Donnie. It doesn't mean anything unless they do it come January.
Absolutely, and we'll find out because they probably will meet again, but the pathway just got a little bit tougher for the Kansas City Chiefs because as you look at it, let's just say the Chiefs win the division, the Bills win the division, that's your tiebreaker right there at that point. So massive win for the Buffalo Bills as they continue the season, and we'll see what the Kansas City Chiefs on deck have the Denver Broncos here. Could they rise up and make the Chiefs 5-5? We'll certainly find out there. Keep it moving down the list. 68-yard field goal. Again, like 45s and 51s. I remember, oh my gosh, how'd that guy make that 54-yard field goal? We're up to 68 yards with ease right now, Joe. NFL kickers are evolving out here.
Yeah, and this kid is in a class all his own. Don't forget, he was the one that kicked that 70-yarder in preseason, Donnie. We were all laughing because it didn't count. It was preseason, but yeah, it would have been good from an extra 10 yards. And we're going, is really? Like, are you serious? And that wasn't even in Denver yesterday, Donnie. That was in Vegas where he did it. So I think he has a shot at breaking that record at some point before the season's over.
Pros versus Joes crying yesterday. We're the pros once again here, Joe. 18-15 victory for the Denver Broncos over the Houston Texans. Understand this. You can't win for the most part if you don't score touchdowns, Houston. You saw Denver. You left that door open. They were scoring touchdowns. You weren't. And you take that loss. 3-5 Texans probably going to be down against C.J. Stroud this week. It just hasn't worked out this year. An unbelievable defense for the Texans. You're getting nothing on offense from them.
No, and I had said all week, Donnie, that I was not convinced that the ills of this offense for Houston weren't suddenly magically repaired because they beat up a depleted 49ers defense. So, P.S., even without Patrick Surtain, right? They went in there, and that defense of Denver did everything to give Bo Nix and the offense an opportunity to win that game, and that's exactly what they did.
Hey, look, man, give it up. The comeback kids are the Denver Broncos. You get them down. They don't spoil. Yep. Bo Nix is known to come back, and they did that yesterday. 11 unanswered in the fourth quarter for an 18-15 victory. And next week on deck, those Kansas City Chiefs. How about those Dodgers? Another World Series championship, back-to-back. Decoy, the dog, he loves it. He's got 2 rings to go with Shohei Ohtani's 2 rings. They still not like us. World Series champion, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Impressive stuff, Donnie. I mean, they to steal a game 7 the way they did and not give up. I mean, that's what experience does for you there. Never looked like they were panicked. And it wasn't the big name guys that were able to do it for them. It was some of those role players that played a huge role in walking off in a game 7 situation with the world championship.
How about that, man? Dodgers going for 3 in a row next year. It's hard to win in Major League Baseball because it's more of a crapshoot once you get to the playoffs, but they performed in the biggest moments. What a fun ride it was. Awesome game number 7 on Saturday night. How about this next story? Hugh Freeze, he's out at Auburn. You got to win in the SEC. You're thrown to the curb. And it feels like we're going to have more coaching opportunities here than we've ever seen at some big institutions, Joe.
6-16 in SEC play since he took it over. I mean, you're talking about an Auburn team that was held to 17 points or less in 11 of the 22 games that he was. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's not going to cut it in the SEC with Auburn. So this was just a matter of time. You lose 10-3 to Kentucky. That was on a 10-game SEC losing streak themselves. Not good. Not good.
Hey, Matt Rule lost another game against a ranked opponent. Time for another re-up for another few years here on an extension, but also Dylan Raiola breaks his fibula. He will be out for the rest of the year. But hey, look, you're bowl eligible, Nebraska. Fantastic. Welcome to the CarQuest Bowl. Where are you going?
But the who gives a crap bowl because I'll tell you, it does, Matt Rule, because, well, he just probably gets some sort of bonus for making it to a bowl game, too, that nobody cares about. Unfortunate for the kid Raiola there, but Nebraska just the pure definition of mediocre here.
Yeah, absolutely mediocre at this point. How about SGA? Home invasion during a home game here, Joe. How about this? Call up ADT, call up whoever you want at this point. Get your blink cameras, get your, Ring cameras here. This can't be happening. When you have that much money, number one, you're going to be a target. But you have to have some sort of surveillance. And where does he live? Where people are able to just get in easily there, Joe?
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, so you're on the road, like gated communities, I don't know, security. Like, what are we doing here? I don't understand why they're such easy targets. And it's not just happening there, Donnie. It's happening all over the place with these athletes.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy the way it plans out. I can even get I'll get like an update on my phone, like, hey, somebody walked in your driveway here. Like, you can see things coming from a mile away, but hey, man, maybe people willing to break in. They know exactly when he's in and out. A couple surveillance things here, and away you go. By the way, Joe, talking about away you go here on a Monday, as we talked about, Winthrop with an early 8-2 lead after Dalen Berry knocks down a triple assisted by Kareem Rozier. We're underway. This might be one of the biggest games of the year, Joe, starting it off.
Yes, don't sleep on Queens, though. I'm telling you, took the 5 points with them here, Donnie. Keep an eye on this game here throughout the morning.
By the way, look, I love this, but imagine being like, you know what? We're going to play a game at 8 a.m. in the morning. Now, did we do away, Joe, with college basketball where the 24-hour marathon, is that gone now? Because I actually really enjoyed the, 3:30 games, the 5:30 games, the 7 a.m. games. Did we do away with the 24-hour marathon? Those were great.
Yeah, those were really good. But no, we have all new era here, Donnie. All new era. The whole midnight rush and midnight madness. No more.
No more, people. The new era of college basketball starts today. Winthrop and Queens underway. We got to get to the NBA, the association next.
There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers, but a lot of the time last year they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy, and now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They didn't panic. They played like a championship team. They came back and destroyed them, probably cost Brian Kelly his job at least a week earlier than it might have happened before. But the fact is they are playing great. But like I say, I like the talent level of all those teams. And I think if you want to have a little bang for your buck and play around with a team that could slide in, Ole Miss might be that team.
The Bowden Blitz. Only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in the football state, you're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, you didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
The association. By the way, did you know the Spurs actually did get a loss on their season, so they can't go 82-0. That's a shame. But how about Victor Wembanyama, Joe? Do you know he's now the favorite to win MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Most Improved Player this season on Poly Market Sports? What? Joe, come on.
Yeah. And no player has ever won all 3 in the same season, but let's be realistic here. The guy is a freak of nature, and, I mean, he's only 21 years old, so health is always the biggest concern with those, with those types of awards, Donnie. Will he remain healthy enough? At 21 years old, there's no excuse for him not to be able to play, 65, 70 games here, somewhere in that ballpark. As long as he stays healthy, he is very much alive for every one of those awards.
How about this? Who's alive tonight? Should be Giannis Antetokounmpo back in that lineup for the Milwaukee Bucks. Why? They're favored by 6.5 points tonight on the road, taking on the limping Indiana Pacers. Total listed at 235.5, so we're expecting some offense. The Bucks on the road. Should they be able to handle the Pacers and handle them with ease?
Yeah, the return of Miles Turner, right, to Indiana, who for the first time. But, listen, the Pacers are so decimated with injuries, Donnie. They don't have anybody left. We already knew they were going to be without Halliburton here, but they've lost Mathurin, they've lost T.J. McConnell, they've lost just about all the other guys that they thought that we'd have available to them here. So they kind of are a shell of themselves, but they did win the last game in epic fashion here. But do they have another one of those in the back pocket? I don't know. They need to get Nembhard back. They need to get some of these guys back here. In the meantime, I would expect the Milwaukee Bucks to drop a pretty significant number on them here tonight.
Detroit Pistons on the road as a 3.5 to 4 point favorite, depending on your shopping at, going up against the Memphis Grizzlies. No Ja Morant. Yes, Ja Morant. Does Ja want to stay there? Does Ja hate his coaches here? Not a good sign right now for a Memphis Grizzlies team that's sort of up in the air. You see that favorite here for the Pistons. Do they deserve to be favorites, Joe? And also, can they cover that 4 point line down in Memphis tonight?
What a shock. Ja Morant is a cancer in a locker room. What a shock. Blaming everybody but himself. It's hilarious here. But Detroit doesn't have that problem here. They are cruising. Big win over Dallas and Mexico City over the weekend. Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham leading the way for them. There's nothing that you can trust about the Memphis Grizzlies except they're going to run up and down the court as fast as they can, chuck up a ton of shots, and there is no way I am resting on an under in this spot. I think this game goes flying over the total.
Kevin Durant and the boys at home to take on their rival, the Dallas Mavericks, tonight at 8 o'clock tip time. Joe, this line opened up at 12.5. We still sit at 12.5 across the board, but how about the total? Look ahead at 229 earlier today. We now sit at 225.5. Mavericks on the road to take on Kevin Durant and the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, who's playing for Dallas? Because we saw what they looked like in Mexico City against Detroit without having a big man. No Anthony Davis, no Derek Lively, and the Pistons absolutely dominated them in the paint and on the boards here. Same thing is going to happen here tonight for Houston if one of those guys doesn't play. So this 12.5 could get bigger if they're both ruled out here tonight, Donnie. The Rockets, no doubt, starting to find their groove, certainly offensively here this season.
Let's head to some elevation here. The Sacramento Kings taking on the Denver Nuggets. This line opened up around 11.5. Some outlets still at 11.5, but some have also moved to 12.5 as a favorite towards the home team here, the Denver Nuggets. You take a look at the total, Joe, 237.5, 236.5. So we're expecting points here at elevation as Denver have the goods to win by double digits and get the cover against the Kings.
Sacramento coming off a ridiculous win against Milwaukee last time out, and the Denver Nuggets are coming off a head-scratching loss to the Portland Trail Blazers in their last game. But Sacramento has lost 5 straight to Denver here, and I am not quite sure this is a great spot for them to go into Denver coming off a embarrassing loss to the Portland Trail Blazers like they did. I would anticipate a lot of the Joker and the Denver Nuggets early in this one. I would go Denver first half in this spot.
Take them down there, Denver Nuggets as the favorite here. We'll take a look at a game late night in Portland, Joe. The Los Angeles Lakers. How about this? They're not a favorite tonight. The line opened up for Portland as a 2.5 point favorite. It's now shifted to 3.5 as a favorite here for the Trailblazers, the home team, and a total, which was 233.5. You see the graphic at 234.5. It's now moved to 235.5 and 236.5, depending where you're shopping at. Lakers on the road against the Trailblazers, Joe. What do we got?
Well, they just beat them last week, Donnie. The Trailblazers did in L.A., 122-108. Now they get them on their own home court. And I just told you, Portland just beat Denver in their building there on Friday, which they haven't played. They got a couple of days rest. The Lakers played last night against the Miami Heat running up and down the court. So, I don't know, we getting a back-to-back with Doncic? Is somebody sitting? Who knows? But Portland, there's a reason why that money is coming in on Portland overnight. Second of a back-to-back here for the Lakers. Don't love the spot for them.
How about super late night tonight? The Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clip Show -7.5 as a favorite, and a total, Joe, listed at 228.5.
Yeah, Miami just dug themselves a hole early in that game against the Lakers last night, allowed them to hit 77 points in the first half, but they did get it to within a bucket in the fourth quarter there, Donnie, before falling short. This one is going to be about maybe the Norm Powell revenge game here. He didn't play last night for Miami. He's missed the last three. Looks like he's going to try to give it a go against his former team here tonight. Miami on the second of a back-to-back as well. And the way they like to score and run up and down the court, that number at 227.5, 228.5 seems a little bit light to me.
I always find it interesting, too. You take a look at, the back-to-backs, but you're back-to-back in the same arena, same hotel. So it's really not that much of a, hey, we got to get on a plane 3 hours to elevation, new hotel, get checked in, get down. Like, you should be comfortable and ready for this game. Kawhi Leonard listed at 24.5 as his points prop in this game. James Harden, 22.5. If I gave you Norm Powell 20.5 as his points prop tonight in a revenge spot, you go over that 20.5, Joe, or are you going under the 20.5?
I wouldn't fade any of Miami shooters. They shot 52% from the floor last night, had 20 fast break points and 66 points in the paint. Don't fade any of those guys.
Look at that. The NBA and college basketball, same day, early November. That's what you're getting down with, people. Let's go over to Kalshi. What type of markets do they have today?
They got to go win and execute, and they can't be inconsistent. And that's the thing. It's like Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, really consistent. And then who is that fourth question mark? And there's been inconsistencies throughout. Hey, Michigan goes out to the West Coast and gets manhandled, and then they come back and then they win. Like, who's the consistent one that is the fourth?
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Listen, never understood a word he said, but it doesn't matter because he was able to walk into living rooms and get kids to sign. It's a little different situation with the NIL now, but the reality is he represents Louisiana. He is Mr. Louisiana. You should have never fired him to begin with in this spot. So, yeah, I hope they do reconsider and bring him back.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers, but a lot of the time last year they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy, and now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
24 points, and 23 rebounds. Folks, let me tell you something. That's 23 rebounds versus Tennessee. Not Tennessee Tech, not Tennessee Chattanooga, not East Tennessee, West Tennessee, South Tennessee. I don't know how many Tennessees they got in that state. That's a university. He did it against Rick Barnes' kids.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Kalshi markets to have some fun with here on a Monday morning on the SportsGrid Network. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri. And sometimes we just like answering these questions to see how these questions even make sense. And yes, people are actually betting on these said questions. The first topic we're going to bring up, it's the WNBA. But how about this, Joe? Let's read this one through. Pro women's basketball players get a raise this year? 25% chance listed at Kalshi. Look, it says if pro women's basketball players receive a raise before January 1st, 2026, then the market resolves to yes. I haven't been this involved in this, but is the deadline at the end of the year, or is this supposed to happen earlier sooner than later? And like, they're going to get a raise, but I don't know if it happens before January 1st. Like, they're in a lockout, they're not in a lockout. I don't know, Joe. What do you do with this question?
I'm guessing that is the cutoff date to have a new CBA in place, right? But I would think they are going to get a raise. Whether they agree to that raise, Donnie, is a totally different ball game here. But I would lean yes at this particular point until we hear otherwise.
By the way, if you do place a $100 wager down on the yes, they're getting a raise, Joe, it pays back $313. Now, just last week, they gave them the 30-day extension to sort of negotiate. I don't know if they get a raise this year, because this sounds like, because the WNBA season doesn't start January 10th. Like, it doesn't start really till, May of next year? They're not getting a raise before 2026. There's no way they're going to agree to anything, because as we know, Joe, negotiations where they're so far apart, that doesn't get done sooner than later at this point. So for me, I'm probably going to say no at this point and won't vote on that, just because they will get a raise. I don't think it happens, Joe, before January 1st, 2026. Here's a question, UFC. Who will Conor McGregor fight next? Is there just a no and he will never fight again? No, there's not. Michael Chandler, Mike Perry, and Max Holloway are listed here, with the favorite, it looks like, Michael Chandler at 69% right now.
Well, because he was supposed to fight Michael Chandler, but he wouldn't take the drug test in order to be able to get that fight to come to fruition. So it makes sense to be Michael Chandler, but there is no way. Why would he come back and fight, Donnie? Please, somebody explain to me, would a dude with $100 million in the bank would want to come back in and get punched in the face? Maybe not the sharpest marble, I get it, but come on, you got to be kidding me here.
Yeah, it takes a look. When I'm looking at it right now, it's 69% to fight Chandler here, but also understand this. Like, you have that, but it's good just for his brand of business to say, I'm coming back, people, I'm going to fight. And people bring his name back up and he gets to sell a little more whiskey at that point. But I don't think he's ever fighting again at this point. And every day that goes by makes it less and less. Like, is he going to be like 50 years old, 55 years old? Like, yeah, I'm going to come back and I'm going to take the UFC by storm. They would love to get him back because the ratings would be high, but what are we actually getting right now out of this Conor McGregor? Who knows? How about Cristiano Ronaldo looking to play again? Paris Saint-Germain, Wydad Casablanca, and Sporting CP with the favorite here as I'm looking at Paris Saint-Germain. Cristiano Ronaldo, where is he going next?
Well, PSG can certainly afford him. So it wouldn't shock me, Donnie. I think that's why they're at that price at 82%. Yeah, I think that's probably a good asset. Not a lot of money to be made there, but that should be the favorite, I think.
I mean, how much money does that guy have in the bank, by the way? Dude was making like hundreds of millions of dollars a year playing down in Saudi Arabia at this point. I'm interested to see where he does go, what he has left in the tank. And also, didn't we talk about last week where it's like, will he play in the World Cup for Portugal again, I think?
Yeah, well, what's the difference? I mean, the guy is worth, from a marketing perspective, maybe the most recognized athlete around the world outside of maybe Ohtani at this point. So, he is he is worth every penny. Whatever they give him, they'll make back, certainly in marketing dollars. That's for sure.
Absolutely. We got to get a Kalshi market here up on who the next player to be traded here in the NFL trade deadline is coming up this week. The Philadelphia Eagles acquired a player from the Miami Dolphins and a pass rusher in Jalen Phillips for a third-round pick. Let me ask you this question. Max Crosby sent out a tweet. Love you, Raiders. You know, you deserve better than this. Does that mean he's looking for a way out? Does that also mean that Trey Hendrickson, now that your season's basically dead and buried for Cincinnati, that he's on the move? Do we see a big, because Phillips is a decent name, a big name move at the deadline, Joe? What do you think?
The problem is there's only a handful of teams that would be able to afford either of those guys here. So likely not moved, likely moved next year, though, probably playing with different teams.
Yeah, I love this, too, because you take a look look, Myles Garrett's up. Look, if Cleveland was stupid enough to sign a guy to that maximum deal, then trade him and paid him all that upfront money, and you're going to get back draft capital, I get, but then ruin your salary cap for 2 years, stop it, man. You can't do that stuff. We'll be right back to hit Monday Night Football.
they got to go win and execute, and they can't be inconsistent. And that's the thing. It's like Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, really consistent. And then who is that fourth question mark? And there's been inconsistencies throughout. Hey, Michigan goes out to the West Coast and gets manhandled, and then they come back and then they win. Like, who's the consistent one that is the fourth?
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Listen, never understood a word he said, but it doesn't matter because he was able to walk into living rooms and get kids to sign. It's a little different situation with the NIL now, but the reality is he represents Louisiana. He is Mr. Louisiana. What better? You should have never fired him to begin with in this spot. So, yeah, I hope they do reconsider and bring him back.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers, but a lot of the time last year they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy, and now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
24 points, and 23 rebounds. Folks, let me tell you something. That's 23 rebounds versus Tennessee. Not Tennessee Tech, not Tennessee Chattanooga, not East Tennessee, West Tennessee, South Tennessee. I don't know how many Tennessees they got in that state. That's a university. He did it against Rick Barnes' kids.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for some football? It is a glorious Monday night in the NFC. Now, maybe not 2 glorious teams, but we could have some fireworks on that football field tonight. The Arizona Cardinals travel on the road to Jerry World to take on the Dallas Cowboys. We set the line in this one, opened up at 3, Joe. Just about everywhere still sitting at 3. The Dallas Cowboys, I'm showing 75% of the ticket count going towards the Cowboys with no line movement. The total in this game opened up at 52.5. Now most outlets have moved on to 53.5. The interesting part about this, you usually say, well, hey, Kyler Murray is down. They can't win that game now. Jacoby Brissett is a veteran. He's filled in admirably, throwing 2 touchdown passes in each of his last 2 games, and also has a lot of success in the air, Joe. Let's start with that one. Brissett on the road, rested and ready. 2 teams that desperately need a win, or their season's probably fading away fast.
Listen, you can't trust Dallas here. And I know that Dak Prescott has been, good against sub 500 teams, but I think Arizona is better than what their record indicates that they are at this point. But if I was going to look anywhere, given the state of affairs with that Cowboys secondary, who are missing all starting safeties, including one of the backup safeties now, they can't get any pressure on the quarterback. And we've already seen Jacoby Brissett be more than capable of getting the ball to Arizona's weapons there. I mean, they've averaged 25 points in his 2 starts, and that was against the Colts. And a pretty good defense in the Packers here. To me, their team total at 24.5, Donnie. What? Yep. Against this defense of the Cowboys? Yeah, no, I will go over 24.5 points for Arizona here tonight. I think they get at least 30 points when it's all said and done.
Dallas probably felt good yesterday, at least division-wise, right? The Commanders get splashed. They're 3-6 now. The New York Giants got beat. They're 2-7. But you take a look at the Cardinals, where I don't even know if they can even do anything to help. Like, Seattle is really good. The Rams are really good. The 49ers picked up a victory yesterday. They're still 6-3, even though they're a walking dead team right now with so many injuries. But it does, like, the fact of the matter is, handicapping this game, Joe, like, I have a wager tonight that I do think is decent, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. But if you're looking from Arizona's side, it's like, well, you can't bet them because, their starting quarterback is down. I negligible, Joe. Like, not even a downgrade to get what you're getting out of Jacoby Brissett right now, or maybe the offense actually runs smoother because you're not working off-time plays where Kyler Murray's like 1,000, 1,000, run around, make a play, where Jacoby Brissett's like, yeah, 3-step drop, that ball's out.
And listen, you're talking about an Arizona team that is coming off a bye week to try to kind of reset themselves here a little bit. Plus, you have Gannon, who is a defensive-minded head coach here, and there is no doubt in my mind who the better defense is. The better defense is Arizona, and the record may not reflect it, but your eyeballs should tell you that coming out of a bye week, being able to hit the reset button a little bit, offense is not going to be a problem for Arizona. I think if any one of these teams can get enough stops, Donnie, to eventually win this game or give themselves a chance to win, it's got to be banking on Arizona's defense to get the stops. I don't trust Dallas's defense at all.
By the way, expensive prices here. Like touchdown passes, looking at FanDuel right now, over 2.5 for Dak Prescott. It's plus 154, but usually you're slated at 1.5. Jacoby Brissett. If I told you now, Joe, over 1.5, like, yeah, he's probably plus 120, plus 130. He's minus 172 at that point right now. So it looks like we could have an air assault tonight because both of these defense, not great. Dallas, we know, can move the football, but also understand this, too. Next time we saw the Dallas Cowboys, like the Denver Broncos were going up and down the field. Dak Prescott didn't even have a touchdown pass. Looking for those numbers to change. The passing props, Joe, 267 for Dak Prescott, 245.5 for Jacoby Brissett.
Brissett had 35-plus pass attempts in back-to-back games against, again, pretty good defenses in the Colts and the Packers. And now he gets to go against the Cowboys, who ranked 30th in defensive DVOA against the pass. Come on. Dallas has given up 250-plus passing yards. Is he ready? Bo Nix, Jordan Love, Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, and Russell Wilson this season. Especially if they're playing from behind, Donnie. How he's not getting over that passing yardage prop is beyond me.
Yeah, by the way, touchdown scoring market tonight. We have a game that's listed in the low 50s. We're expected to get some points here, and certainly players will be scoring touchdowns. The leader in the clubhouse right now is Javonte Williams, running back here for the Dallas Cowboys. He's a pretty good goal line back, so you figure they get the ball on the 1-yard line. He's going to get first crack at that. CeeDee Lamb, a minus 105 price. Then the plus money comes in, starting with Trey McBride of the Cardinals at plus 100. George Pickens, plus 120. Marvin Harrison Jr. also at plus 120 here with the live updates.
Listen, McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. have been more involved in the offense now with Brissett than they have been with Kyler Murray here. So I would anticipate both of those guys being the ones that find pay dirt here tonight for Arizona.
Yeah, because you take a look at the running game, right? If you go to the rushing props, Javonte Williams of the Dallas Cowboys is 66.5. He's the lead dog, but they also list Jadon Blue and also Dak Prescott. For the Cardinals tonight, I'm only seeing Jacoby Brissett at 15.5, which means you're probably not going to get a lead dog because every time you took Arizona in the past, it was like, well, if you're going to take their touchdown prop for quarterbacks here, it's like, okay, he's got to get 2, but you know James Conner is a hammer inside the 5-yard line. They don't have that now. So maybe more jump balls there to Trey McBride on the outside and certainly Marvin Harrison Jr. If we look at the receiving props tonight, CeeDee Lamb is the favorite at 82.5. Marvin Harrison, 59.5. Trey McBride, 69.5 as well. And then you have Pickens and Ferguson. We should be getting a lot of pass yards and a lot of passing touchdowns tonight, Joe.
Yeah, listen, Harrison had 2 catches for 58 yards against the Packers last game out, right? And I think he left a lot more yards on the table there. So to me, yeah, he's going to be your threat that's going to take advantage of those missing safeties and that secondary of Dallas. I got no problem looking at Harrison to go over his receiving yards prop tonight.
By the way, you take a look at like the future of the Dallas Cowboys, like Jerry Jones trading away their best defensive player and then saying like, hey, we'd like to trade for a defensive player at the deadline. Make it make sense because it doesn't here. But let's just say the Dallas Cowboys tonight do pick up a victory. They're favored to do so, even though slightly at around a -3. After this, they do have the Raiders. That's a winnable game. But then Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers in a row. So theoretically, if you're looking at their price point to say, okay, win the division, that's not going to happen. The Eagles are going to win that. But just making the playoffs, they lose tonight, it's over. They would be 3-5 with that schedule. Good night. See you in 2026.
Yeah, and listen, well-deserved. I mean, how are you making the playoffs with that defense anyway, Donnie? Yeah. I mean, who are we kidding here? Stop it. This team is atrocious on so many levels on that side of the ball, which is a shame because offensively, they're a great unit here. They're capable of putting up points against anybody except, I don't know, maybe the Denver Broncos there, in which they pretty much manhandled you. But, the defense is the problem. That's not a playoff caliber defense, nor should we consider them to be, Donnie. If it ain't this week, it's going to be next week. The Cowboys season is all but over.
Shanahan and the boys fighting back. Jerry's going to want to take that mic after game. I'm just shocked the way this game actually played out at this point. But what would be more surprising to you tonight, Joe? An under in this game, or let's just say an Arizona Cardinals victory, right? Because most people say, the public loves the Cowboys and the public loves an over. What's more surprising, the under or the Cardinals getting the win?
The under would be more surprising in this spot here, given what we've seen from these two teams here. There's no doubt both the best units on the field are going to be both offenses here going up against those defenses. So I think there are points coming here tonight. The question is, which defense can get enough stops to win the game, Donnie? That's all this game is going to come down to.
By the way, some fun bets, too, that you look at. Like, usually it's like side totals, some touchdown props. How about this? CeeDee Lamb and Trey McBride to each get 5 yards receiving in each quarter. That's a 6-1 price. If you want to just extend it to the Dallas wideouts, how about CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens each have 5 yards in each quarter? An 11-1 price here, Joe. You're going to have some fun with some of this nonsense tonight. This game should be good, man. It really should be.
I mean, you're looking at a total, Donnie, of 54.5. I mean, the Cowboys team total, 28.5.
Yeah.
24.5 for Arizona. Somebody's scoring here tonight. There are points coming, so pick your poison.
Let's go back to some of these games yesterday. How about 47-42 Chicago Bears? Let's see what happened in that one. Get it! Stop defense. Why don't you?
They got to go win and execute, and they can't be inconsistent. And that's the thing. It's like Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, really consistent. And then who is that fourth question mark? And there's been inconsistencies throughout. Hey, Michigan goes out to the West Coast and gets manhandled, and then they come back and then they win. Like, who's the consistent one that is the fourth?
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Listen, never understood a word he said, but it doesn't matter because he was able to walk into living rooms and get kids to sign. It's a little different situation with the NIL now, but the reality is he represents Louisiana. He is Mr. Louisiana. What better? You should have never fired him to begin with in this spot. So, yeah, I hope they do reconsider and bring him back.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers, but a lot of the time last year they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy, and now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
24 points, and 23 rebounds. Folks, let me tell you something. That's 23 rebounds versus Tennessee. Not Tennessee Tech, not Tennessee Chattanooga, not East Tennessee, West Tennessee, South Tennessee. I don't know how many Tennessees they got in that state. That's a university. He did it against Rick Barnes' kids.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
What happened yesterday to the Washington Commanders? You lose 38-14, that's one thing, but also you lose your young quarterback whose elbow goes the wrong direction last night. Jaden Daniels was 16 of 22 for $153 and an interception before he went down with an injury that could possibly end his season. Washington sits at 3-6. Their season is roughly over, but how about the Seahawks? Improving to 4-0 on the road with 31 first-half points as they cruised to an easy victory over the Commanders.
Yeah, and it was over in the first half, Donnie. I mean, that defense, you would have thought coming out primetime game, that defense with a defensive minded head coach there, that these guys would have been ready to put up a fight. Instead, they got absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree. 4 touchdowns in the first half, Donnie. The game was over. It was 28-0. Then they botch a special teams. They fumble the ball and give them short yardage. If it could go wrong, it did go wrong. Embarrassing effort by Dan Quinn in Washington. And, oh, yeah, having your starting quarterback in the game in the fourth quarter down by 30 points, and then he gets his elbow dislocated. Congratulations, Dan Quinn. You, too, will be looking for another job before it's all said and done.
Yeah, it's not with the command. You're at that point in the season for the Commanders where it just makes sense to lose football games at this point. I know it stinks, and Washington had all that excitement. Their fan base was, trust me, take the losing this year, get a top 5 draft pick. You'll be better off in the future. Don't try to scramble, win games late in the season, which they probably will do against the detriment of their team. We'll see how that one works out here. How about trade season in the NFL? The trade deadline coming up this week. The Philadelphia Eagles were the first ones to strike early this morning on a deal to get Jalen Phillips of the Miami Dolphins for a 3rd-round pick. And now you see 5 picks, Joe, in the first 3 rounds for the Miami Dolphins as they are in complete rebuild mode now.
Yeah, and they need to be. I mean, let's face it, it's all gone. McDaniel will be next coming up, and it's time to hit the reset button in Miami. But, how do the Cowboys allow this trade to happen? I'm just curious. Like, how are some of these other teams in need of defense? How do you allow the Eagles just to keep stockpiling is beyond me, Donnie. But that's, here you go. It's the Eagles world. We're all just living in it.
Yeah, Nolan Smith expected to come back too. Jalen Phillips, big-time game next Monday night against the Green Bay Packers. We'll certainly follow that all week long, get you up to date on the latest, which includes those lines, which currently shows the Green Bay Packers as a slight favorite here. How about the Bears? 47 points against the Bengals. That's not surprising. It's just that the Bengals had a massive comeback and were able to win that football game until they weren't. Colston Loveland with a 58-yard touchdown where he ricocheted off multiple players on the Bengals. And the thing I like the best is they went right to the locker room after that game. We're asking players on offense, like, hey, what do you have to do here? Jamar Chase wasn't having it. Basically, get a stop. What more do we have to do to win games when you guys are out there like a wet piece of tissue? It can't stop anything.
Chase Brown and Jamar Chase were throwing guys under the bus left and right, trying to be politically correct, but basically we're saying, you got to be kidding me here, defense. Like, step up here. And the worst part is the defensive guys were yucking it up and they were laughing inside that locker room and just be like, yeah, we'll see you next week. So there are some serious issues inside that Bengals locker room here, and no Trey Hendrickson in there to be able to rally the troops. It's over in Cincinnati, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
How do you score nearly 40 points in back-to-back weeks, Donnie, and lose both games?
It's unbelievable. We knew the defense was going to be bad stepping in there. And by the way, Trey Hendrickson should be like, I'm not playing again till you double my pay that I was actually asking for, because apparently you can't get me when I'm off the field. You can't get me when I'm on the field enough. We'll see if Trey Hendrickson actually gets moved this week. Comeback kid. That's Bo Nix. Another comeback victory, 11 unanswered in the fourth quarter to knock off the Houston Texans, who couldn't score a touchdown. Credit the bend but don't break defense there for the Denver Broncos, but they pick up a victory. They're now 7-2 on the season.
Yeah, another one of those situations, Donnie. I mentioned it last week with Bo Nix. I mean, listen, he may lose games on the road, but he never gets blown out. I think he is now 24-2 in 6-point teasers, Donnie. That is a pretty impressive record. So one way or the other, the Broncos could have got them at 8.5 in a 6-point teaser. Wouldn't have needed it, really, because they won the game outright. But that's something to store away and keep in mind moving forward. This kid does not get blown out in situations. He just doesn't.
No, he certainly doesn't. By the way, the Colts running at 7-1. We're usually have a referendum every week. Like, can they be this good? Sooner than later, the bottom's going to fall out. I'm not saying the bottom fell out. They lost 27-20 at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh includes the 5-3 or improves the 5-3. The Colts go back to 7-2. But Daniel Jones, that first sign of, hey, maybe my pocket awareness isn't there. A QBR rating of 13, 3 interceptions yesterday, which helped the Pittsburgh Steelers win that game. But the Steelers finally getting pressure on a quarterback here. Daniel Jones threw for 342, and they needed that in the comeback effort. But the Steelers were the better team. That defense finally stepped up.
Well, 6 turnovers. I mean, that was what, that was vintage Danny Dimes, unfortunately. Yes, the Steelers defense turned back the clock, but so did Danny Dimes. That was a lot closer to what we got with the New York Giants than anything we've seen so far this year with the Colts. But listen, there'll be games like that. It wasn't great, tough spots. But I think the bigger question, Donnie, is what are we going to get? What's the next game look like? Can he bounce back in this spot? Because the fear is, all right, it's one thing in the cushy dome with everything going your way with lesser competition, better defenses, more hits. What does he do in those spots? It's wait and see for me with the Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones.
Patriots 24. How about the Falcons 23? How did that come down to it? Was it a 2-point conversion? No, it was a mixed extra point at this point. The Patriots hold on and extend their win streak. 7-2 now in the season, in first place in the AFC East.
Missed extra point by the kicker who was on the Patriots, and they cut him, which is hilarious how it goes around there. But, yeah, no, listen, is Raheem Morris on the hot seat here? I think he should be. They should have won that game, had an opportunity to win that game. They can't stop the bleeding. Penix, or it doesn't make a difference, really, who is under center, does it?
No, it certainly doesn't. How about the Vikings yesterday going on the road and knocking off the Lions? I was shocked by that. The defense played well, and also, Joe, the Panthers, 16-13 over the Packers. I was being told that the Packers were the best team in the NFC, Joe.
Yeah, well, a 40-40 tie against the Cowboys should have told you everything you needed to know about this Packers team here. But the Panthers, I've been saying it, going to be one of the most improved teams in the league, and they are.
Yep. Look at that. Get the extra music here on a Monday, the remix edition. We'll be right back after the break. Yeah.
They get murdered or lose.
There's a far longer track record of the Chiefs laying huge numbers and not covering them with Mahomes than anything on the contrary.
And they did that a lot last year where they didn't cover those numbers, but a lot of the time last year they didn't have Rice and they weren't fully healthy, and now they are fully healthy. And now we have an offense that has 4 viable receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 running backs.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They didn't panic. They played like a championship team. They came back and destroyed them, probably cost Brian Kelly his job at least a week earlier than it might have happened before. But the fact is they are playing great. But like I say, I like the talent level of all those teams. And I think you want to have a little bang for your buck and play around with a team that could slide in. Ole Miss might be that team.
The Bowden Blitz. Only on SportsGrid.
Governor calls you out in a football state. You're out.
And it was so funny, too, because after he fired Kelly on Sunday, right, Woodward released a statement that said that, in effect, that he was still in charge of the athletic department. Well, you didn't check with the governor because apparently he had other plans for the athletic department, and you're not in them.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on
Final segment of another fantastic show in an Armchair Monday quarterback edition of The Early Line. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri. We talk for most of the show here and give our opinions, but now, as that part of the show, we like to reach out to the public and say, what can you tell us? Here's our Fade the Public poll. Easy to do tonight because it's Monday Night Football. It's an NFC tilt. Now, two good teams, not necessarily, but two fun teams tonight that don't play a lot of defense and should be able to sling it, and we don't have to worry about any weather conditions in the month of November. Why? Because we're playing in Jerry World tonight. A rested and ready Cardinals team that'll be out without their starting quarterback, but Jacoby Brissett has been pretty good as a fill-in. Dak Prescott looking to bounce back from a horrible performance against the Denver Broncos. 4 options today, and if you're watching us, fantastic. You should also be following us here on X at SportsGrid. The question we asked today, what are you betting tonight in Cardinals versus Cowboys? 4 options. The Cardinals getting 3 points. The Cowboys -3. The over 53.5 or the under 53.5. And look at the under, Joe. 2.6%. Everybody wants that over. Who are we fading the public with, or are we backing the public here in this scenario?
It's tough to argue with this total at 24.4%, the over 53.5, Donnie. I mean, given what we know about these two teams offensively and defensively, very hard to argue with the public. We know they love overs to begin with, but they're also not always wrong, Donnie, here. I tend to agree with them in this spot. I do think lots and lots of points are coming, but I would also say this. Might be a better live betting situation tonight for the total.
Oh, I tell you what, man, that's alarming where the under is getting 2.4%. That's the ultimate fade the public angle where the public's like, I don't want anything to do with that. I'd rather take a side or the over at this point. Let's see how that one factors out. Because granted, you can still have a high-scoring game and not get the 53.5 points. But we'll see how this one plays out. I'm hoping for a lot of touchdown passes and a lot of touchdown scoring here, Joe. Why? Because that time of the show, we give out our best bets. Here's bye. You can go anywhere in the marketplace tonight here, Joe, as I am scanning right around here to bring up some men's college basketball. I got the scoreboard up. I'm dropping it down to the Division I ranks, and I'm saying 40-35 at the half for Winthrop over Queens. A decent scoring game there. Well, my question to you is, Joe, you going men's college basketball? You going NBA? You going hockey? You going NFL? Where are we going for this pick tonight?
Don't sleep on Queens, Donnie. I'm telling you now. All right, listen. I am gonna go. I only gave you half of the fade the public play there. While I agree it's tough to back and under, I will remind you, folks, that 52.5, 53.5 total with Kansas City and Buffalo in game was as high as 66.5. And where did it land, Donnie? It landed under the total. So be wary of that. But to me, I am fading the public tonight in this game because let's talk about the Cardinals' 5-game losing streak, shall we? They lost by 1 at San Francisco, by 3 to Seattle, by 4 at Indy, and by 4 to the Packers. Yes, they lost to Tennessee, but remember, they were about to take a 28-6 lead when that guy DeMarcano dropped the ball short of the goal line here. The Cards have led in the fourth quarter in every one of those 5 losses, and the Dallas defense ranks dead last in every category that matters. No way. There's a reason why the public loves the Cowboys tonight, and that line is not moving, Donnie. Give me Arizona to get it done coming out of the bye with Jacoby Brissett to not only win this game, cover this game, but win this game outright here tonight.
Let's go. Give me a couple of Trey McBride touchdowns tonight. That'll satisfy. But you know where I'm going tonight? Same place, same time, same environment. Yes, it's the Arizona Cardinals and the Dallas Cowboys. For me, I'm playing a touchdown prop tonight. If we're taking a look at a 53.5 total and we get anywhere close to that, 6, 7 possible touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb is going to factor in there with a touchdown catch. I'm getting a pretty good price at -105. I was actually looking for the running back here, Mr. Javonte, but I said, you know what? Price point's a little bit too high. I do think Dak Prescott bounces back from a terrible performance against a really good defense in Denver. At home, much more comfortable here. Multiple touchdown passes there for Dak Prescott as he's listed at over 2.5 at a plus money number. We're going CeeDee Lamb tonight. So the Cardinals, let's get the victory tonight. And also, how about a CeeDee Lamb touchdown for a perfect 2-0 night on Monday night to get this week started off in style and an action-packed week, Joe. It will be.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely huge. Welcome back. College basketball, Donnie, looking real forward to the games all day tonight, including Arizona against those champion Florida Gators a little later tonight.
Gotta love it, Joe. New season. That's what we do. Joe Ranieri, Donnie right side. Thanks for tuning into the SportsGrid Network. We're going to see you bright and early for another edition of the Early Line tomorrow.